Hey, what's up guys, it's Marv and welcome back to another CarX Street video. Today I have a lot of news for the game, some of it bad, some of it good, but we'll get into it. Before we talk about that though, I just want to let you guys know that hopefully this weekend, if I'm feeling good and I have some time, I will do a live stream for Asphalt 9 and maybe some other games. Be sure to click the link in the description to join my Discord server and follow me on Twitter for more news about that. I'm having my fingers crossed. I really love doing live streams, so hopefully I'll have some time to do it this weekend. But anyway, let's talk about CarX Street because I know it's a very hot topic right now. It's very, very high in anticipation from the community. So let's start off with the good news, and that's what you're seeing on screen now. There was an update released which had some patch notes around performance improvements and some other things like that, but they also finally added English as a language option. If you didn't know, previously the game was only available in Russian, which was kind of annoying because you couldn't understand, or at least I could not understand any of the UI language, any of the customization or upgrading language. So now understanding how this game works is going to be so much more easy, and also for you guys, it'll give you a better sense of how the game works and how the game plays in terms of progression and things like that. Now, unfortunately, at least for iOS, even though the English language was released or updated, it still is only available, as far as I know, in the Russian App Store. I searched it up on the United States App Store, it's still not there. So even though it's been updated for English, it's still only available in Russia. Unfortunately, that's where the good news sort of ends. We have some updates regarding Android, which I'll talk about now. But in terms of the PC and iOS releases, I believe those are still planned for December 15th. That's what it says on the Steam store page. So I'm assuming that they are going to try and coordinate the iOS release and the Steam release at the same time, but there's no exact date for iOS that I could find. But like I said, the Steam date is December 15th. But let's talk about Android because I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to this game on Android. Unfortunately, there is some bad news. I'm going to go ahead and read through the entire thread and then summarize it. So the first tweet says, today we'd like to share some new details about our working progress on Android version. You may know that App Store and Play Market digital stores have very strong restrictions on the application size submitted to the store. So our most important task right now is to keep the content and graphics of CarX Street World and meet the requirements of Play Market. Moreover, some of you may remember that we are also working on a new location, Mount District. New location also needs to be implemented correctly and optimized for mobile devices. It takes time too. Speaking of optimization, we still see a lot of room for improvement of the game's performance on Android devices. One may ask, why not just transfer the existing iOS version to Android platform? Well, we can't give all details on the development process, but the simple answer, this is not possible due to technical reasons. Therefore, we had to postpone the release of Android version of CarX Street, so the worldwide release of our project is planned on iOS platform only. We completely understand that the current level of anticipation and excitement is high among Android players. We are doing our best to bring our project to this platform as soon as possible. We appreciate your patience a lot. So let's break this down. And I'm sort of going to go backwards with this one. In the second to last tweet, they said, so the worldwide release of our project is planned on iOS platform only, which is quite interesting because, like I mentioned earlier, the Steam date is for December 15th, which I believe that will be a global launch. So maybe this means that the iOS version will be released before Steam. As far as I know right now, there is no version you can get on Steam even if you're in Russia, whereas on iOS, obviously, you can get the game if you switch to the Russian App Store. So, like I said, this might mean that the iOS version for global might come before Steam and Android. Going back a bit, obviously they talk a lot about optimization for Android, and Android is very tricky because there are a ton of combinations of RAM and processors and a bunch of other things that you have to optimize for on Android, so it makes sense that there is a lot of work to be done in the optimization front. Now, I will say, coming from an iOS player who is playing on an iPhone 12 Pro Max, I also do think that there's still a bit of room for improvement for optimization on iOS. I understand that they're trying to do a big open world here and it's running on a phone, which is really awesome, but I would like to see a bit more polish in regards to things like render distance, resolution, and frame rate. Now, also to give you guys some insight into the development side of why they can't simply take the iOS version and put it on the Android version is because of the way that graphics work. Now on iOS, they have a completely separate pipeline for graphics to interact with the processor, which is called the Metal API. Whereas on Android, I believe they use either Vulkan or OpenGL, one of the two. I believe now it's Vulkan, which is standard, but essentially what that means is they do have to optimize for two completely different graphics pipelines, one for iOS, one for Android, and in my opinion, it does seem like Metal is more optimized, it's better to work with. I'm not too sure, I haven't gone that deep in the development process for mobile games, but I do know that there is a substantial difference between developing for iOS versus Android and optimizing performance on each respective platform. So unfortunately, it does seem like the Android version has been delayed almost indefinitely. There is no exact release date that we have. I assume it will still be sometime next year, hopefully within the early half of next year. However, unfortunately, we just don't have any dates. However, we still did get some nice news from those tweets. In the second thread, they say, some of you might remember that we are also working on a new location, Mount District. Now, I have no idea what that means. I don't know what a Mount District means. Maybe they're talking about Mountain District. There is a substantial portion of the map that goes through mountains and stuff like that that doesn't seem drivable yet. So I assume that's what they're talking about, but a mount could be anything. Unfortunately, I assume they're translating from Russian to English because I believe the development team is Russian. So it's hard to say exactly what they're talking about, but it is nice to see that already they're making improvements to the map and adding on some things. Maybe that means in the future, even post-launch, we'll get new additions to the map, which is really awesome to see. So yeah, in summary, the Android version has been delayed. We don't have a date for that. The iOS version should launch soon globally, and the Steam release date says December 15th, and we are getting some more driving locations in CarX Street. Either way, guys, hope you enjoy the new gameplay in English, which again is so much easier to play now, and it is a lot more fun because I can now understand what's going on. But let me know your guys' thoughts on CarX Street in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys later.